Hey folks, Jeff Little here. I'm here with Joe Underwood, and we're getting ready to do a Torqeedo Ultralight 403 install on his Hobie Pro Angler 14. And the setup we're doing is pretty unique. It's going to have foot control steering, so that's the combination of which is going to make your Hobie Pro Angler haul ass and turn on a dime.
Yeah, this is a quarter, not a dime.
Yeah. Keep the change. I think you'll enjoy it.
The mounting solution I decided to use for my Torqeedo is the Slipstream by Easy Mount. What I like about this design is that it has a lot of adjustability. Starting in the back where you mount to the kayak, I had to adjust this down a few pegs to give me enough distance on the back of my power pole. I'll show you that in a minute, but you can adjust that in quite a few different places. I like the fact that I can lower this into the water or raise it if I need to and trim it correctly. There's also a spot here in the back where you can put a little screw to adjust the trim either in or out as well to lift and or lower that. So pretty neat design. What I really like is the quick release pin. The adjustability, and then to be able to raise and lower your Torqeedo in and out of the water, and so then I can utilize my Mirage Drive. The rock guard I chose for the Torqeedo to protect my investment was the Trey Leach Innovative Sportsman rock guard. One of the things that I noticed as soon as I picked this thing up is how light this thing is. I know initially folks were talking about how heavy it was on your Torqeedo. Boy, this thing is super light. Easy mount, 2 screws right to the Torqeedo. Again, protect that investment.
So one very unique part of this install is having foot control steering. We're going to be installing the some tracks on the starboard here, and inside the track we have the recreational foot brace. This is made by Select Design. So the track right here goes on that. This slides into it, and you got a little hole here that we're going to connect the cable here. It's stainless steel cable. It's really for a rudder, but we're using it for this application. It's called by Select Design generic rudder rigging kit, and it has a couple swedges here. And then the crimps there that are going to be needed at the other end for the steering triangle of the Torqeedo. One of the reasons that I really found a need for having this particular style of throttle mount is I've had other ones in the past that have rotated off the boat. I've gotten to the location, and because of the nature of the mounts I was using before, the throttle mounts I was using before, they've spun loose, and I've had them, you know, where they've come completely off and they're laying in the boat. Luckily, didn't fall off into the road. I know of one angler who unfortunately had to purchase another throttle because they lost it on the road. With the Yak Attack Torqeedo throttle mount, it's really not going anywhere. It's in there solid.
So we're sizing this up to decide where we want it for my foot control setup.
I think you want it. I think you want the track as far in as possible. We're gonna have to mark a spot here where we're gonna put some hardware in and put the other. You got one brace there. We'll mark that and we'll drill a hole there, and then we're gonna have to do the other one up here somewhere. Now this, if you need it closer to you, depending on your leg length, you can pinch it. Now hold the peg solid. All right, and this will slide up to adjust for your leg length, but we want as wide a base as we can. I know there's 2 different sizes of these, and you have the newer one that has the track in it. The other ones are a little bit longer. I think they come out to here, but I think we're gonna get, with the hardware that I have, at that distance from there to there, I think that's gonna be a good enough base. We just gotta mark how far it is. Make sense?
Looks good.
All right. So this right here, we're gonna pull it out, and I'm gonna say that is to the center of that hole. We're looking at 1 1/8 inches. As soon as I pull it off there, it comes off center, but 1 1/8 inches in. So we'll measure that and we'll drill a hole. And I've checked with this hardware we've measured, and it is 11/64 is our drill bit. All right, and that's just tight enough that I need to start that, but we'll line that up on the inside, and we're going to do the same thing back here. I got some washers in there. Okay, so if you're making a shopping list to go to the hardware store, these suckers right here, they are 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch zinc plated, I guess they call them corners. Of course, I cut the part that has it in English, but in Spanish they're called corners. So I had done this install already on my Pro Angler that has the longer starboard here, and after putting this in, I looked at it, and Joe and I have decided that I think it's going to be a little bit more secure. There's a little bit of flex on this. I think it's pretty solid, and I think it would be fine, and you do have enough clearance here for both your Mirage Drive and the sliding foot peg. But having looked at it and seeing that there's a little bit more flex, we're going to go ahead and uninstall this and slide it all the way under. Not put it on the edge, but actually tuck it up underneath it. And you're still going to have plenty, I mean, the same amount of purchase with your foot on the sliding foot peg. So we'll just move it in maybe 1 inch. All right, so we came in about 1 inch on either one. So let's just say that you're in the safe range if you're a little over 2 inches in. So 2 1/8 of an inch, and about 2 1/8 of an inch should be safe. If you stick with 2 inches in from the side, you're gonna be in good shape. All right, yeah, I like that better because it's closer in, it's not out on the end, and there's just gonna be a lot less flex with it in the middle. There's also contact of the corners coming off of the track with the side of the boat. So there's just more contact points, more secure. I'm happy with this. All right, because of the angle in here is so tight, I took this off. It was just, I couldn't get even with the extension up in there at an angle. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this, and I'll put the whole thing back on. All right, so we have our sliding foot pegs in the tracks installed, and we're gonna go ahead and put the cables in. Now, I'm gonna attach the one end, and we'll attach the other end later once we run holes through the hull with the plastic tubing. But for now, you can see the little crimp that I got there. So I'm putting one through, and I pop it up through the little plastic hole, and I like this to remain as tight as possible. To that end, I'm just gonna cinch this down. Heavy duty you know, electric crimps will work for it, but for whatever reason, I've always used these vice grips, and they do a good job crimping. You really want it to loosen that just a hair. You really want it to dent it and really mash it, because you don't want these popping out. There, it should be on there. I'll do this a couple times each side just to make sure. These suckers are heavy duty. That's not going anywhere.
Right. I think if we drill a hole here, that sliding, you know, in and out right there will work nicely.
Just that crease?
Yeah, just on that crease right here.
Okay.
I think it.
The key to doing this is to have, overall, if you look at the boat top down, are the lines running straight? You don't want any sharp turns. So here I am on this angle, this is coming straight down. That's gonna come in here, and then it's gonna run relatively straight all the way to the back. inside, and we'll have to access it through there, and it'll come up to here. And back here, it'll exit, and the motor and everything will be here. It'll be on either side. We'll do this last. We'll figure that out last once you have the motor mount on there. But the key is to have, you know, straight cables, straight steering cables. Anytime it makes a hard turn, or really any turn, it's a little bit more resistance you're going to feel in the foot pegs. And that's what we want to reduce.
I think putting that there gives it a really nice...
Good flow.
Good flow, yeah.
All right, let's drill some holes. This is the black plastic tubing that the cable's going to go in. So go ahead and run that in there, and we're going to feed it towards the back. A metal hanger is actually a very good tool. You'll just need to straighten it out. When you can't necessarily reach all the way in, if you drill the hole and then you shove that into the hole that you've drilled, and then you can pull it through the other side, and then you shove the plastic on there. We'll see if we need to do it. I think we probably will, but you shove the plastic on there, and depending on the diameter of the plastic, it may stay just like that, or you may just put a little bit of tape on there. But that way it goes in, you know, you come at it the other side, shove the tube on, and when you pull it out, it comes with the tube, is the concept. So I've run most of this tubing in there, and we're gonna do something to this here in a second. We're gonna singe it, and it'll actually mushroom the head out so it won't pull through. But before we do that, I'm gonna finish running it. It actually curled back here, and it came out this hatch. And I've taken that coat hanger, and I've run it from the back here, and I got enough just sitting right here that I can kind of jam it on there. All right, so I got that jammed on there. Yep, and that's really all that we needed that for, is to bring it out the other end. So when we get to the point where we're gonna drill holes here, which we're gonna do in a second, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take the coat hanger, run it through the hole, bring it out here, shove it back on, and then pull it out with it. So now we have this inside, and it's running as straight as possible. What we're going to do is singe the other end and pull it in tight, and then we can draw this up so it's really as straight as possible. But if I kept pulling on this, we would pull it out and undo all the work that we did to get it that far. So let me grab a lighter and a machine screw, and I'll show you what you do with that. So the goal of what we're doing now is to have this get to the end and then just mushroom out. And how we're doing it is with this machine screw and this lighter, and we're just heating that up. That's good. And then while it's hot, I take that machine screw and just twist it into it. Another way to do it is if you just get a putty knife after you heat it up a few times and push it against it. I'm actually going to use this right here to show you what I mean. You just kind of push that down. Let me do that a couple times just to make sure that this never comes out. And I put the screw in. The screw really just keeps that open, because what can happen to that hole is as you tamp it down to mushroom it out, it can close that hole, and the screw just keeps that open. So I'm getting ready to pull it in there flush, so I'm just going to get a little bit of silicone on there just to make sure that it's sealed in there properly and I don't have any water coming in. I know Joe's gonna fish in some pretty rough water with this. So, all right, so I will pull it through and you can just watch that draw in just like it should and not any further. Boom, that's it. And it's done. We'll kind of wipe off the excess, but that is not gonna pull through, and it is sealed. All right, so we got a little bit of this sticking out. What we want to do is that same mushroom type job we did before, and I'm not pulling this so hard that it's gonna pull it out, but I am gonna take the slack out to keep that as straight as I can. I'm utilizing my vice grips again, just as a means to not lose grip. And then I'm going to cut this off. And we're going to mushroom that out. I didn't give myself a whole lot to work with there, did I? But that'll be enough to grab. It'll curl it back. And that should do it. I'm going to use the screw just to back it up so I can get a little bit of silicone in there, and then we're good to go. Joe's feeding it through there. We're going to see it pop out here in a second. We got 1, 2 holes. Did it get caught on something? Mm-hmm. It will. Oh, it's right there on the end. I can see it. And that's why you do the screw. Twist it a little bit as it's coming through. Oh, you almost had it. Twist it. Yeah, this is why putting the screw in there is so important. And we did that one. So obviously this wasn't going through. It actually went into the tube, but it didn't come out the other end real well. And that'll happen sometimes. In the solution, more times than not, is just to recut it so that you have a very nice, clean, you know, narrow end going through there. Let's try this again. Okay, we got it. All right, we're gonna draw that tight. And when we put these on, when we measure the right length to put the other hardware on there, we're gonna need you up there, Joe, to figure out your leg length. So, but for now, we're just gonna leave these hanging there, and we'll go ahead and put your motor mount on.
Okay.
I've gone ahead and put the rock guard on from Innovative Sportsman, and meanwhile Joe is working on putting the easy mount slipstream mount on the power pole bracket, right?
Yes, sir. There's 2 screws there. You want to go in the furthest one here.
Alright, we've pulled the kayak off the sawhorses, and Joe's sitting up front because what we need to do now that we have the motor on in the mount is to get the distance right for the steering triangle. Now this will be a little bit lower just because the ground is pushing that up, but the concept is the same. We have to get this distance right. And in order to do that, we have to start with your inseam. Now, Joe, you're in the position that you're normally in, right?
Correct.
Okay, which he likes the high position. And basically with the foot pegs, if you install them and they're both forward, it's not going to work. So what you need is the right distance of each of these back a little bit so that when one of them goes all the way forward, the other one is going to take up that slack and actually be pulled, because they're all going to be attached to the steering triangle at the end. This is one big loop from there to the steering triangle and then connected again there, so that when you push forward on this, actually that's all the way forward, it's a bad example, but say you were to push forward on this, this one is going to come up. So you got to get the spacing on that right.
Okay.
So let's find your midpoint on both. And these are adjustable. So someone with really short legs, you can move it up. Someone with really long legs, you can do it there. We're gonna pick the midpoint. All right, Joe, go ahead and put your feet on these, and you tell me whether does that feel good, or is it too close to? It's not too far away, is it?
Not too far away. It feels a little too close.
Okay, so what we're gonna do, and really it's to preserve, because you only have a certain amount of distance that you can go forward. We're gonna go, let's go closer to the end. We'll go to where we only have two more of those holes left. For someone maybe who would borrow your kayak that has a little bit longer legs, they got room. All right, what does that feel like there?
Comfortable.
That's comfortable. Okay. And if for whatever reason, if you go into like the low setting in the seat and you need more or less distance, you can do that adjustment here. But at least you got a little bit to play with here. So what you want to do now is go ahead and get your clamps, and you're going to get this secure in place. So you're basically going to prevent this from sliding. And you don't need a lot of tension. It's just enough to make it stop. Go ahead and do the other one, such that when we go to the back, when we start tugging on the cables to get the right length, that it's sort of at a fixed position. All right, good to go?
Good to go.
All right, let's go to the back. Go ahead and pull the cables taut. Okay. So we put the wheels on just to make sure that we have the steering triangle up as this was sort of hitting the ground. What you're doing is you're going to draw this up here, and we're going to make another crimp right there, and then we're going to have one little quick release linkage right there. So these are the Night Eyes S Beaner. These are a nice quick disconnect that we like to put on the steering triangle here and here, and our distance is such that it's just barely gonna connect with that. All right, so I will go ahead and put this on, put the crimp on there, and we have these parts here to make it a real nice clean install. Nice good rotation that's going to stay on the inside just like that. So we'll go ahead and use those. It's a little loose. I'm going to back it off. Pick up that slack. Again, we want that centered. Yeah, that'll stretch to a good spot. Okay. We'll go ahead and crimp that in place, nice and snug. And then we'll be almost ready to get on the water. No, it's not going anywhere. And one thing that's really important at this stage in doing this is that you make sure you trim this end, not that end. I've actually made that mistake once, and yeah, you can go to the hardware store and get this 16th inch stainless steel braided cable. If you do mess it up, it's not the end of the world. You just got to go buy some new cable. They have it at the hardware store. One other thing some folks will do just to make a really clean install is they'll get the heat shrink electrical tubing. They'll put it on first, and then they'll slide it up over this and heat it, and it seals right there. That way you don't have this little piece there. But I think for right now we're in good shape, and we're ready to hit the water. So Joe sat in it afterwards and he felt that these were a little bit shaky. So what we decided to do, and what he's fitting in there right now, is what we've just done on the other side. I don't know if you can see that. We got 2 pieces of starboard as a spacer there, just as another contact point. We got some here. It's not the cleanest looking thing right now, but we're just looking to shore this up so there isn't so much wiggle. And once that's together, we'll get it out on the water. I think this side tightened up nicely.
So we got the foot pegs installed so I can turn left or right. Speed, I'm going 5.0 right now. I love it. Got the slipstream easy mount on the back. Pretty simple setup. That would have been a good one. What I like about these Sea-Lac design foot pegs is I can go right from my foot pegs, plenty of room, right on my Mirage Drive. Torqeedo Ultralight 403 on the Hobie PA14. Go further, fish longer.